Hello and welcome back with me, Admiral, joining me back on Star Trek Fleet Command. So today's episode is going to be very interesting. It's obviously the Q&A stuff. We did manage to get about 7 or 8 questions, so we will start cracking through them. Just before we do start, I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers once again, and all the new Twitch subscribers or followers as well. If you are new to the channel, then please do hit that subscribe button. It helps me out massively, and you can join part of the crew. So let's crack on. So the first question is going to be it was actually from Jeff, and we covered that one the other day on Tuesday, on Monday's video even. That was to do with the gold hostiles, and we covered that. We covered that by obviously pointing out that the gold hostiles should be treated as a PvP, not by PvE standards. So load it out for PvP, and you should be fine. Again, following the triangle as best that you can. So the next question comes from Dave Chandradasa. Hopefully I'm saying that right, roughly. But we'll call him Dave. So first question he had was to understand the officers. There are so many, but only use Red Academy, Armada crew, and mining. Would like to understand other officer groups. This will need a lengthy video. In terms of the other officer groups, I will cover them in more detail in other videos. But as a quick overview, I'll run through them now. So you have the basic 3 groups that you get depending on what faction and stuff that you are. So you got your morale crew, you got your kinetic crew or your hull breach crew, and then you've got your burning crew. So if you want to run morale, for example, then you want to run Kirk as your captain, Spock and Bones. They're going to be your morale crew, like your fundamental morale crew. In terms of the underneath officers, again, I'll cover more detail, but that's your morale crew. That's your basic morale crew. You can sometimes swap out Bones for a Horror, but ideally you want to run Kirk as captain, Spock and Bones as the other 2 officers. When it comes to your hull breach crew, me personally, which obviously I do differ to some other people, but what I personally run is I run Gorkon as your captain. I then run Kayla as another officer, and then I run Koff as well as the other officer. So that's what I personally run, just because they seem to partner the best in terms of the whole breach ability. Then you come on to the burning crew. So there's a few ways you can do this, but again, this is just a personal preference. I run Kumak as the captain. The reason for that is because of his discipline. So at each beginning of each round, he increases all the stats of the officers by 5%, which helps with the burning, which is why I run Kumak as captain. I then run Nero as obviously the other one, and I also run Vemet. So that's your typical, I would say, burning crew and sort of loadout. Other than that, obviously, they're free. They're the 3 basics. You're basically looking at battleships. You're going to want to run some form of burning crew potentially. Interceptors, the Gorkon interceptor crew, and then if you're sort of an explorer, again, you're probably going to want to run the morale crew. But the morale crew is the one unique one out of all of them. The morale crew can go in any ship. That is your fundamental. If you want to fall back on anything, fall back on the morale crew, which is Kirk, Spock, and Bones, because that will always do well against a lot of other things. Obviously, then you come into like the more advanced officers, which a lot of them I don't have. But the more advanced stuff, you can have like Yuki, Zhao. They're your sort of more advanced crew. Use Zhao instead of Bones, for example, in terms of the morale setup. So use Zhao, I believe, as captain. Yeah, use Zhao as captain, and then that'll help your abilities in terms of the morale crew. Yuki is very good. She takes off 10%, and then when she's partnered, she can do 15% decrease to shields per round. So again, that's really good if you're lasting a lot of rounds. You've obviously got the 2 different types of hostile crews, which I covered in a video not too long ago. And hopefully that clears a little bit up for you. Again, I'll go into more detail in another video about them. But they're the 3 fundamental crews that you're going to need throughout the entire game. Okay, so moving on to the next question is basic question: how does health and morale work on a ship. Epic Kirk has morale and the ship has health stats. So in terms of the morale, okay, so if we go to Kirk's abilities, so his leader ability is as long as the ship has morale, Kirk, blah, blah, blah. So that's not the one we're looking at, it's more this one. So at the beginning of each round, Kirk has a 60% chance of aspiring morale. That's got... I would understand the officer agree with this would... Yeah, oh, no, wrong one. How does have a morale work on a ship? So the morale has got nothing to do with health on a ship. Morale... If a ship has morale, I do believe the... Is it the piercing chance or something on the lines of that? It goes up. So morale's got nothing directly related to health of the ship. So don't worry about the health stats. The only thing when you are pairing them with the morale crew is you actually want to look at Spock's and you want to actually get defense up on whatever ship that they're partnered on. So if it's an explorer, you want to get the defense as high as possible to pop Spock. In terms of Kirk, his ability will pop regardless whether there's health or not. So I hope that one clears that one up. The last one is events for building and researching may require to increase power to gain rewards. So when it comes to the rewards, okay, so once you hit level sort of 22, essentially your defense platforms are going to offer the most power increase out of any other building. And then basically what I've found is the inside buildings, generally speaking, they all offer, obviously, they don't offer a huge amount, but they'll offer a significant sort of increase compared to like your generators. They don't offer obviously nowhere near as much as your main buildings. So like obviously your ops building, your R&D building, even these smaller buildings offer a significant. Try and go for stuff that's obviously quite high in sort of value. So like these are high valued buildings, but fundamentally your defense platforms in general will offer the most power increase. So if you can save them up for an event, but the only problem is you don't know when the event's going to be. So, but if you can save them up to pop them during an event, then they will increase your power the most out of any other thing in the station. So reviewing a battle log to understand the results is your last question. For example, we go to this one quickly. I mean, obviously this is a very easy battle log, but to go through the battle log, so I'm running Cadet Uhura, McCoy, and I'm also running Chen on the ship. I believe I am anyway. So the first two, we don't last long enough in that instance. Let's see if I can find one that where we last like a little bit longer. So level 28, last 21 rounds. There we go. So the first thing you want to notice is obviously use the correct crew layout to obviously do. And then you're looking at whether you're popping or not. So obviously Uhura and all my officers will pop instantly. They don't require any sort of encouragement as such. So straight away the opponent gets scanned by Uhura, minus 50% to opponent ship weapon damage, and then minus 20 to energy weapons since it is obviously a transport, so it kind of helps. And then you got plus 12% to the effectiveness of captain's maneuver, which that captain's maneuver is this as well. It's the same thing. And then obviously then you're popping away, and this will activate, like that activates the once at the start, and then that stays throughout the entire rest of the essentially the battle. So that percentage won't change now. So whatever the percentage you had there won't change. Depending on obviously your officer layout, they might pop per round as well. So you just need to be wary of that. But if you start off, we'll have a look at the first round. So essentially what this is this means that the enemy ship is attacking me. So you see the damage dealt there. So we had a crit there of 1,357. I mitigated 731 damage of that by obviously my abilities, and then I received 501 to shield health, which is obviously recoupable, and then in terms of my hull, only received 125 to the hull. Obviously then dealt another damage because he has two weapons, and then you then in reverse, you're the blue one normally. So I dealt 406,000 damage. He managed to mitigate 220,000 of that, received 148,000 to the shields, but still took 37,000 hull damage. And essentially that's how it works throughout. So he'll do the attacks with his two weapons, your weapon or fire. It depends on the way that the rounds work, to be honest. It just sort of varies. And then obviously I'm firing the energy weapon. Then my weapon's recharging, which is what that is. The kinetic weapon's recharging because it takes 3 rounds to recharge. So he'll get a couple of shots off. It does fire the energy weapon every round though. So it fires. I'm now 100% charged at round 3, which is 2 rounds on. And then at the start of obviously round 4, that kinetic weapon fires again, dealing obviously a substantial amount of damage. But yeah, that's pretty much how these work. You just sort of have to have a look through, make sure your officers are popping. These only pop once, these specific ones. Obviously, different officers will pop at certain different times, so just be wary of that. Okay. Next one is from Hey Harmonical Luke. Thanks for the questions. So the first question says, another YouTuber has in the distant past twice said that he thinks you get better loot from chests if you wait to open 50 at once. The answer to that, in short, is no. It doesn't make a difference. I've done substantial testing over the past week since you put the video, since you commented on the video. I have done substantial testing on that, and I personally haven't noticed any difference. Obviously, I've got nothing to show you in terms of the stats, but I personally haven't noticed any difference. I have asked around a couple of people as well, and they've also agreed with me, saying that they don't believe it makes any difference either. So to just keep pulling whenever you even if you have 20, just pull it, because it doesn't make a difference if you wait till 50. I've heard that it used to make a difference, but it seems like in the new game meta, it doesn't make a difference because of the way that the game works now. So I believe that is the case. If anyone can prove me wrong, then please do so. But I do believe that is the case. And your second question is, someone recently told me we've been wrong about using just one Gorkon in Armadas. He doesn't give everyone the crit bonus of hull breach, only the equipping ship. True or false? This one, in short, is I don't know. So I am currently undergoing testing with this question. I will report back once I find out a little bit more detail. I've also asked a few of my friends, alliance friends, to do this testing as well, to see whether I can obviously collate a bit of data about it. Once I find out some information, hopefully in the next week or so, I will pass that information on. But in short, I don't actually know right now. My understanding of it was he did give the crit chance with hull breach, but again, until we test it properly, I'm not 100% sure. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that question in full yet, just because I'm still undergoing testing. And that pretty much concludes all the questions. Like I say, we answered Jeff's the other day as well, so I think that's all the questions. No, sorry, one more question. This one's from CP Fisher. So the question was, base cracking for raids. Who's the most efficient crew for this, in my opinion? Okay, so let's have a little look at some of the officers. So in my opinion, you should be using the augment crews anyway for base cracking. So we go down to the augment crews, and I'll show a few different variations in what you should do. If you want to just do generic base cracking, if you don't have Khan, for example, like I don't, then you want Zhao Xin as your captain because of his ability. So his ability is when attacking a station, Zhao Xin, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I'm going to say it that way, has a 50% chance of greatly increasing the mitigation of the ship for the first round of combat. Especially if you're attacking, that's a very good one to have. And then when attacking a station, he decreases the weapon damage of all opponent's ships and defense platforms. Again, really useful as well. This only pops for 1 round. However, that mitigation is very, very good, especially if you can hit really hard in the first round, i.e. using a Sally or something like that. The next one I would use, or the next 2 people that I would pair up with him, if you don't have like a Khan, for example, would probably be Otto, just because his ability also increases the attack of each officer on the bridge. So that does help. Sometimes his ability as captain also is not too bad either. At the start of each round, if the target of a ship is a defense platform, also increases the damage of the ship by 20% for that round. Just bearing in mind, if you are going to use Otto as captain, make sure you get rid of the ships prior to doing so, because if you don't get rid of the ships, his ability won't pop straight away, and you'll be there for ages trying to get it to pop. So make sure you get rid of all the ships in the station first by using, say, a different crew setup or something on the lines of that. Then you can use, obviously, Katie. Her secondary ability is when attacking a station, Katie increases the crit hit damage by 25%. Again, that is obviously quite substantial. So you got 25 crit hit damage if you do hit a crit. So a good thing you can sort of run with this. This is the ideal crew you want is going to, I'll show you in a sec, but the ideal crew you want is going to be Katie. You're going to want to run Khan, ideally. The reason you want to run Khan is because of this crit hit chance. He increases the crit hit chance, especially if you're using an interceptor that has a higher crit chance anyway, then she's more likely to be able to pop her ability to then obviously increase by 25%. If you use, obviously, his ability as a captain is when attacking a station, Khan has 50% chance of directly reducing the mitigation of all opponent's ships and defense platforms for 2 rounds, which is why he's pretty good. He is very similar to Zhao Xin, however he lasts longer, and he basically lasts twice as long because he lasts for 2 rounds rather than the 1, and his secondary ability is a much better ability of the crit chance that you gain from him, and obviously the more you upgrade, I think he goes up to a maximum of like 4 or 5% crit chance. I believe it's something on the lines of that anyway, but if you can get him to at least like 1 or 2%, that's still an increase, which is obviously going to help you out massively. If you don't have the augment crew for whatever reason, then the other best types of crews to go for are your with a station. Essentially what you want to do is you want to try and last as long as physically possible, so that you can deal as much damage as possible, and the best crew for that is going to be your morale crew. So it's your Kirk, your Spark, and your Bones, as I spoke about earlier. Another good crew to use is your burning crew, because that has obviously hidden benefits of burning. So you could use that, but I'm not sure whether that completely activates on a station. So I would personally say go with the morale crew if you don't have the other abilities, because the morale crew won't let you down. As like I say, you want to last as physically as long as possible to try and take down as much health as possible on the station, because that's the idea of it. And then if all else fails, just keep hitting it until it goes down, because obviously your ship might not be strong enough, or there might be other factors involved with that. Hope that answers all the questions. The video is a little lengthy, so we are going to end it there. Thank you for all the questions, by the way. We will do another Q&A next month as well. We'll try and make this a monthly sort of thing as well. Just something that I can talk about in future videos, and we can do videos on whatever questions that you have coming up. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below of any questions you do, any further questions you have. I will be doing videos on upcoming stuff in terms of all the questions, so more officer stuff, which seems to be the thing that people want to see the most. So I'm going to start covering more officer crews and layouts, and especially like the under crew, for example, and stuff like that. I know I don't have all the officers, but I can at least tell you what to go in certain slots, just because what people have told me and what I've experienced from seeing other people and everything as well. So hopefully this video helps at least the ones that ask the questions, but hopefully it helps everyone else as well. If you did like the video, thumbs it up. If you didn't, thumbs it down. Please let me know why you didn't like it, and please let me know if you did like it and why you liked it. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.